Can start pouring in. Okay, so this is now live.
Nice.
So what's happening? How's your Sunday going?
Just a little work since the morning. Housework, but otherwise fine. You?
Sunday, man. Just another day. You don't even know what day of the week it is
Every day is the
nowadays.
same, huh?
Yeah. So that's how the whole thing is going. And Avantika's got a little bit of fever, so that's that.
Oh, but why?
I think just the weather, the viral stuff.
Yeah. Viral.
So
The word means something else now.
true.
I never thought about
So
viruses so much
this whole
before.
virus thing and the way this whole thing has evolved in the last 6 months, it's just been nuts all over the
Yeah.
place. Okay, so a couple of things I want to outline right here is that it's non-political and
I don't follow
non.
politics at all.
I'm just telling you, it's non-political, non-religious, so it's not going to go there. And however, I would like to at this point of time apologize for any mistakes that I make in my research over jazz music. Or if I say things which might not be very accurate, please correct me, but be gentle about it. Don't be like, gosh.
It's not an excuse to play wrong notes.
Oh, at least I'm not. I don't have any instruments here, man. Especially not the piano. So that's a saving grace. But just letting you know. So it's there. And the good thing about this platform is, as and when people comment, I can bring the comment. Oh, we already have comments.
Oh, nice.
I can flash a comment like this. So Rajiv says, "Good afternoon." Very good afternoon to you, Rajiv sir. And we can take
Good
it from there.
afternoon. Yeah, for real.
Cool. So do you wanna introduce yourself or
No,
no? I'm not surprised. Is Ahona in the room making funny faces at you?
no, she's gone down to feed the dogs.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's cool. That's cool. So let's give it a couple more minutes. We have before people start warming up on this. So yeah, and we'll talk about music, jazz, and mostly it'll revolve around you. So you're not gonna try not to put you on a spot, but
Let's put you on the spot.
why you put me on a spot? I don't play any musical instrument. I
I'll
don't.
interview you. How's that?
This sounds like that episode of The Office where Dwight finds a joint on the office property and he interviews everyone, and he takes Jim in the room to interview him, and Jim just swaps the whole thing around, starts questioning
Okay.
Dwight, and he convinces him that he's the one who's doing the interview and not Dwight.
Okay. So that's the agenda for today.
Oh, joy. This is going to be hilarious. All right,
You guys
guys.
are gonna
So
sign me off.
let's start with this because Paddy's already here. We are here, and people will keep pouring in and out as it goes. So, welcome once again. This is the sixth installment of Penny for Your Thoughts. This is a show that I've been hosting for about a month and a half, and the idea is to get people on here who have carved out their own proverbial silver spoon. People who work really hard to get where they are. Not only that, they're really good at what they do. So what I like to do is get them on stage, get them on the camera, and discuss how they have made it so far. And maybe in the process, given the circumstances in the world right now, you never know. Someone might get inspired. Someone might think of something new. Someone might find something funny. Or most importantly, someone could even take up listening to jazz music or even playing the piano. So anything can happen. That's the whole agenda. If there's one good thing that comes out of this, I think my job is done.
Sounds good.
So let me introduce you really quickly to Pradyumna Singh Manot. Pradyumna, also known as Paddy, is one of the leading Latin jazz pianists of India and has performed in jazz festivals all over the world. He represents India as a jazz musician for the ICCR and was the leader of the NCPA Jazz Collective. He founded the international Latin jazz ensemble Los Gatos and the jazz quartet Four on a Swing. He has collaborated with many musicians all over the world, such as Miguel Valdez, Pandit Vishwamohan Bhatt, Jason Samuel Smith, Viku Vinayakaram, and many others. He's a music educator for the last 17 years as well and has founded 12 Keys Music Mentoring Program. So, Paddy, what is it about you not wanting to talk to people on the phone?
I think it's a waste of time because there's really not much to talk about in life. Because just get to what you need to do. WhatsApping is fine, just relevant
Okay.
information. But if you want to talk, just meet up,
All right, I'm just gonna just clarify it a little bit over here. This man is straight off the back of his hand. He doesn't mince his words. He doesn't beat around the bush too much. It is what it is. Just like the Mandalorian. That's the way it is. Or what's the tag for it is what it is or something or the other they say in the show.
There's a really good hip hop
Mandalorian.
remix of Trump saying "It is what it is." I'll send that to you.
Hey man, no politics here.
No. It's a remix. It's music. Hey,
Okay.
I'm not saying anything about Trump.
Fair enough. Fair enough. We let that slide by. So what I will tell you about is my first exposure to real jazz music was listening to the radio stations when I was in design school, and this music would be always playing, belting out in my apartment as long as I was awake. Kind of helped me focus through the design work and the production work, so on and so forth. You, on the other hand, recall watching a fictional biography on Mozart called Amadeus.
Amadeus, I think.
Yeah, this was when you were 4. Okay.
Yeah.
So now what I'm trying to get at is at this age, there's only so much that one can probably comprehend and connect with reality. Okay.
hmm
But looking back now, what part of the movies were the most impactful to you?
Just there was so much music in the movie, and that I think is always something that I keep remembering. The movie was full of music, and there was a scene with lots of pastries and chocolates. Those are the two scenes I remember.
Okay, that explains your love for chocolates and sweets, I believe.
There was this one table, like spread out buffet of sweets and pastries and God knows what all.
Mm-hmm.
And Mozart was relishing them. So I definitely remember that. But the movie was full of music, like so much music. So that really was something that stayed in my head. I think generally we forget a lot of things at that age.
Yeah, I mean, when you mentioned it, I found it, like I found it very curious because at that age, everything is so exciting, and to remember a movie that you have seen from that age, and to say that it had an impact on how your bearing on music has been, that's pretty deep. So it
Yeah,
definitely must have
somehow
done something.
somehow it happened. Yeah.
All right. And the decision to start music at the age of 6, whose idea was it? Yours or uncle's?
So my dad was learning piano, like he was learning keyboards with a teacher at home. So I used to
Okay.
watch him and I used to keep trying. And I think I managed to learn the pieces he was playing by watching him play it.
Okay.
So, and then he was like, okay, then, you should learn. And then I started learning. And it was just like, it just happened. There was no aim like today's parents who send their kids for tennis classes to become the next Roger Federer.
hmm
There was no aim like that. It was just, you're good at it, you're having fun, just do more of it.
Okay, so it was mostly like, let's start you off by having fun on this instrument.
Yeah, I think my dad saw that I wanted to do it and I was attracted to it, so he
hmm
put me onto it. That's it. So I started my lessons, and it
Okay.
just kept on going. That's it.
And you just had a teacher coming home and doing the music training with you.
Yeah, there was a guy called Anto Menezes who was a jazz vibraphonist, jazz pianist also. So
Okay.
he was teaching my dad, and then he started teaching me. So he taught me for 4 years, and then I went to Calcutta School of Music. I did classical music for 8 years.
Mm-hmm.
But by the time I was 10, I had already decided I want to be a musician for life. That is a fact.
Okay. So by then it
Yeah.
was clear for you, but did you know what instrument you're going to stick by, or was it
Piano.
still up in the air? Or it was
Piano.
piano through and through?
Yeah. Through and through.
Any time that you felt that, that sounds interesting, because you look at drums and you're like, some guys like beating the crap out of that thing with two sticks.
The piano is already doing the drums
Oh yeah,
because
the
it's a
hammers and the
percussive.
strings inside. Yeah.
It's a percussive instrument. Plus, we're doing
Mm-hmm.
more. We're playing chords
Mm-hmm.
and melodies and everything. So
Mm-hmm.
that way, the piano is I think, the most comprehensive instrument of all Western instruments.
Okay.
Yeah. So you can express a lot with it.
All right. So it seems to me that music played a big part in your school life. There are stories that a substitute teacher came in and you knew more than the substitute teacher, and you were given more responsibilities by your school principal.
Yeah.
And tell us a little more about it.
So, um, school, St. James's, we had a lot of music. There was this teacher, Mr. Menezes, who then he became the vice principal, but he can really play some nice chords, and he had a beautiful voice, and he was into jazz and Western classical and everything.
Mm-hmm.
So he was busy as a vice principal. And then the music teacher used to play in all the assemblies and all the school events, whether it's a play or a drama or the choirs or anything. There's a function happening. So
Mm-hmm.
I think she became 60 years old and she retired. And I was in class 9 then. So just give me a second.
Sure, sure,
Give
sure.
me a second.
Well, that's your intelligence.
Sorry about that.
No worries. So you were talking about your teacher had just retired.
So then they got someone else, but there was a little gap between getting another teacher. So they
Okay.
asked me to do all of these music duties, so to say. And then I started doing that. And when she came, I was basically showing her what to do. Um, so then they kind of realized that let her do all the junior school stuff, and I was doing everything else. And because of that, I was never in class. And even if I was not doing any music work, I never went to class.
Yeah, so I was just going to ask you, with this newfound job role, um, how much did you bend it for your own personal agenda in school?
Oh, the whole way, like completely. You know me. I stopped studying for exams. I didn't have to pass any exam anymore. I would still get promotion to the next class. Uh, yeah, I was favored. You know, I could do whatever I wanted. I
Nice.
could walk in and out of school. If somebody wanted to
Oh
leave
my
school in the
God.
middle, I could tell the guard at the gate like he needs to go, and the guard would be like, because like once the principal wanted to buy a piano, so he said, "Can you go with ma'am with his wife?" So I'm in the middle. I'm in the middle of school day. I'm sitting in the principal's car with his wife, and the guards are like, "This student, don't mess with him." So yeah,
And then buying the piano that led you to teaching the principal's son how to play the piano.
yeah, exactly.
How good was he?
Next question. You, you're not interested actually.
Okay. No, no, just kidding. If he's not good, he's not good. Doesn't matter. He had his interest
Anybody can be
somewhere else.
good. It's just a question of like whether you want to be good or not. It's just a question of how much work you put in, right?
Okay. Cool. So, Malcolm Gladwell mentions in one of his books that if you need to master anything, you need to practice it at least for 10,000 hours. Other than the riyaz that you think is necessary for getting good with your musical instrument, um, what else is necessary being a good jazz musician?
First of all, I think these are white people and their white theories, and they try to generalize everything and make
Hmm.
everything equal for all. I mean, 10,000 hours means nothing if they don't have the quality in it. So then you can say that somebody's 10,000 hours is as good as somebody else's 10,000 hours. And they're like putting somebody else is giving a lot of effort into it. Somebody's just sitting there, whiling away the 10,000 hours. So I personally don't like these kind of theories because I don't know, they kind of feel stupid. And what if somebody gets it in 5,000 hours?
Hmm.
So I personally don't. But the thing is that to play jazz as an Indian, the important thing is that you have to listen to jazz for many, 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 many hours. So I'm not going to
Okay.
put a number on that because that's something that's away from my culture. I don't grow up with jazz music or Latin Cuban music, which is the other genre that I really study. So I have to put double the effort in trying to get that music into my system, and I'm still doing it. So I've left 10,000 hours way back,
Hmm.
and I still don't consider myself a master. So it's still a work in progress. I think it's a lifetime that one needs to put in before one realizes what this music is about. Every day is a realization in something or the other.
So, other than your riyaz, what you also do is you consume a lot of this music
I do that more
more than your practice.
because the important thing about the music is the nuances, the rhythm, the feel of the rhythm,
Hmm.
the stories in the music, and things like that. So unless and until that doesn't enter your system a lot, it cannot come out of you. It's like when you learn a language, like how is Avantika speaking Hindi?
Hmm.
She's all the time listening to it.
Yeah.
Otherwise, why is she not speaking French? So that it's the same kind of deal. And so because I'm not in that culture from birth, I have to make up for it by,
Yeah.
and
It's just,
music
that
is the only
was.
access point. I don't have access point to the gatherings, like if they hang out in a family meeting, and then what are the kind of jokes that they crack and this and that, and all that goes into the culture goes into the music. So I cover up by doubling my music listening and trying to, on the side, watch documentaries, read about the history, things like that, as much
Mhm.
as you can to, uh, you know, put that in. But you need a lot of effort, and it takes so much time.
So then, how do you, uh, since the culture is something which is so far away from us physically, also, the Cuban culture is so far away from us.
Yeah.
How do you immerse yourself? Because you know, not any musician from that area would be someone who would excite you or catch your attention. So how do you dig for people whose music makes you think or makes you want to practice more?
Um, First of all, they're the musicians who everybody listens to, that everybody knows about, or who are the most famous. Like, for example, in Latin music is a very generic uh, white term
Hmm.
because Latin is a music that Latinos never use to begin with.
Okay. Okay.
They say Afro-Cuban or Afro-Caribbean or Afro-Peruvian, things like that. Um, but okay, then the generic term of Latin music and Latin jazz. So there are some famous people. Like my first entry into Latin jazz was Poncho Sanchez, who's like a very famous conga player, and he does a lot of beautiful arrangements of these nice tunes and everything. And then you find out like who Poncho used to listen to, who did he study under, and then who did that
Okay.
guy study under, and
Okay.
kind of you dig into the roots, like a family tree.
Okay. Fair enough. So you're always searching for uh, you get hold of, if I understand you correctly, you get hold of one artist who everybody else is listening to, and then you read up a little more about them, who are their influences, and you start like looking into that and see if that kind of fits up into something that you want to do, and then you kind of go from there onwards.
Yeah, pretty much, pretty much. And then when you meet other musicians, they tell you that, listen to this guy, he founded this style, or he composed this way, and this is his speciality. And then there's a lot of discussion and sharing of artists, like
Mm-hmm.
things like that. So it's a
All right.
constant search, and there's so much of music, like it's an insane amount.
All right. So, coming back a little to the city, in Kolkata, Trinka's restaurant has been one of the rare few places where you could get live music from the 60s onwards till the lockdown. Another common place that everyone used to hang out was someplace else where music was consistent. And it is also one place that I kind of remember. Growing up at that point of time, where did you frequent to listen to music?
I started going to someplace else when I was in school, actually, like around
Okay.
class nine. We performed there when I was in class nine,
Okay.
uh, and then I kind of started going there a lot more frequently. And then I was playing with the Saturday Night Blues band over there every Saturday. And at
Mm-hmm.
that time, it was really nice. Actually, there was a lot of good musicians playing, uh, and a lot of bands would be coming and playing there from different cities across
Different cities,
the
yeah.
world. Sometimes, yeah. Like I saw Sean Lane and Jonas Hellberg perform there and things like that. So that was nice. I think now I mean, just before the pandemic, it's kind of not in a good state. There are not any great musicians playing there, and all the old musicians used to play there a lot, like Sumit Ramachandran and all. They don't play there anymore.
Mm-hmm.
But that used to be my place in Calcutta to go and just listen to music.
So, but then it wasn't the kind of music that you were actually practicing. That just used to be pop
No,
music.
there was there was Kochuda who was playing, Latin music with his
Mm-hmm.
band Orient Express. That was on
Orient
Mondays.
Express. That was on
Yeah,
Mondays or what? Tuesdays. Tuesdays
Mondays,
was
usually. Tuesdays Crosswinds. They used to
Crosswinds.
play
Yeah.
on Tuesdays. I mean, at least in the time when I used to go. And then Wednesdays and Fridays was Hip Pocket. And so Sumit
Mm-hmm.
Ramachandran was playing in Hip Pocket. We used to listen to him a lot. Like, just terrific, terrific musician. And Thursdays was a band called Span. And they used
Span.
to do like, yeah, they used to do like mainstream rock and stuff like that, pop. Um, and then Saturday was a blues band. And I started playing with them. And Sunday, I think, was no band.
And these gigs were like how long? Hour and a half, 2 hours, from 9
Yeah,
to 11:30 or
2 hours.
something.
Yeah, 9:30 to 11:30, things like that. Sometimes on Saturdays we used to have guest bands coming in, so with the blues band, we would play after them. So we would start around 12:30 and play till 2:33. But
Okay.
this was before Mamta Banerjee was the chief minister. And then she came
Right.
in and there was like this 12 o'clock deadline that started.
So yeah.
But before that,
Got
I
it.
remember coming home many times at like 7 a.m.
Coming back home for breakfast.
No, after dinner.
All right. So, in recent times, the Calcutta International Classic Guitar Festival, the Dover Lane Music Festival, and the DI Jazz Fest um, have been to a great extent a spark in the music scene of the city. More like a welcome boom. What changes do you see in the city music scene since these three prominent festivals have started in the last decade?
Um, I mean, there's just a general awareness and a lot more people, getting aware of jazz music or blues or like guitar. But I wouldn't say there's enough change yet in Calcutta to take something
Hmm.
or to talk about. It's not enough. Um, and I think these festivals are also struggling, like with sponsorship and things like that. So,
Hmm. And
yeah,
how's your experience playing in the other cities? Like I know in you travel to Delhi quite often till very recently.
yeah. Delhi has a piano and jazz club. So, uh, I open. I opened both the Piano Man Jazz Clubs, played the first two nights. Uh,
Okay.
Arjun, who owns it, is a very, very dear friend. So, no, audience-wise, Calcutta has a great audience. Like people here really, um, are, like they make a great audience. I love playing, and but I get good audiences everywhere. It's just that I think in Calcutta there's like a economic situation that doesn't allow things to go beyond a certain point. Um, I think that when people, I think that as a city, when the city has more money or something, and
Hmm.
I don't know, I'm not an expert on this. Then people like kids who want to be musicians will not be dissuaded. If they get to see that I can make a career in this and things like that. So I think it's a overall situation which might be complicated to analyze. You would also know about this, right?
So yeah, I
Because
mean,
photography, yeah.
just let's not get into photography because I know your love for photography is suddenly going to consume this conversation, and we'll start talking about photography and
We
camera.
can we can do that.
As much as I would love to, let's stay a vector for a
How
little
do you get
while on.
optimal sharpness in an image?
Yeah, just the same way you get optimal sharpness on a tone, like you get tone perfect songs.
Let's
So
not.
now beyond this, I can't argue. I don't even know if that makes sense. But see, for me, I think one of the most definitive moments in my life with music was in 2005 watching U2 on their live tour. Which live performance for you has been the most definitive?
Oh, well, this I would say there's two performances that uh, would be like very important moments in my life. The first one was in Calcutta when I was around 21, 22, or maybe a little earlier also. Is that
Hmm.
I saw Madhavchari do a solo jazz piano performance at the Calcutta School of Music. And at that time, I was like really getting into jazz. I was a complete beginner and struggling, and there was no teachers as such.
Hmm.
And somehow, whatever everybody played in Calcutta didn't sound like what people played on the CDs, on the albums. And then I heard about, there's this great pianist Madhav, and he used to be in St. James's and La Martiniere, and uh, so I heard that this guy is a really good pianist. Like and he's been in the US and stuff, and he's returned to India. So I went to see the concert, and I was just completely blown away because for the first time, I saw an Indian play like the albums that I'm nonstop listening to,
Okay.
and like his abilities, his dexterity, his harmonies, his everything, was just incredible, incredible. Like his command over the piano was just breathtaking. So that was a definitive moment. And the other one was when I went to Panama to play at the jazz festival. And over
Hmm.
there, the headlining act was Chucho Valdez, who is one of the greatest Latin jazz pianists of all time, if not the greatest.
Okay.
And I got to see him at sound check because somebody told me like Chucho is doing the sound check now. If you want to, just watch. So I ran to see the sound check, and then we met him backstage. And then, so this is what happened. This is something that is unbelievable. His concert was like somebody steamrolling you, uh, like bulldozing you. Everybody was like getting bulldozed by the phenomenal level of musicianship and things like that. And like I was sitting like for 2 hours, like what's happening? What's happening? And I remember, so usually when a concert gets over, people walk out of the thing, and everybody's discussing the concert. It was like, yeah, yeah, did you check this out? Did you check that out? But I remember the whole audience just walked out in complete silence and said, let's not talk. Something phenomenal happened, and everybody just left quietly. Nobody talked. That's it. I think we lost connection. Yeah, it's okay now.
Yeah, I don't know what happened. Just kind of went on the blink and then we're back.
Strange.
Sorry, so you're talking about Chucho Valles and being steamrolled and sitting there for
Yeah, and
two
then
hours.
everybody left the concert and nobody spoke a word.
Oh, wow.
Like usually people talk after a concert, and discuss it, and everybody just quietly left. Everyone was steamrolled heavily. So that was incredible.
All right. So that was the second time, which just kind of becomes like one of the most formative,
Yeah,
definitive moments on music for you.
absolutely.
Good. So, as a student of music, when do you completely segue into uh, jazz? Was it around school, grade
Yeah, when
9,
I was
10?
16,
Okay.
yeah, that's when I finished one piano recital of Chopin's music. And it
Okay.
took me so long to perfect that. It led me to complete frustration as like, what am I doing with my music life? Like, why am I playing music with someone else's written and I don't have any connect with? Uh, and like, it takes so much of effort, and I'm still, there's so many pianists who play that music better.
Mm-hmm.
So that's when I got into jazz and started checking out improvisation and like doing your own thing. And I got completely hooked. It's going to be like that because you get to play your own music, not someone else's music.
Yeah. And then, in which part of a journey do you embrace Latin jazz?
So that happened around 23, 22, 23, when I was invited to a jam session in somebody's house. There were these musicians visiting from America and Cuba, and
Mm-hmm.
they were playing. So there was a jam session, and then I heard this music. I was like, these rhythms are infectious. Like, what is going on? And that's when I first discovered Latin music, specifically Afro-Cuban
Got it.
music. And so then I met Kochuda that day at the jam session, and he saw me like try my hand at the piano because the pianist over there, he like heard I'm a pianist, so he put me onto the piano, and he taught
Okay.
me in that moment how to play a thing called a montuno, which is like a
Mm-hmm.
rhythmic riff in a groove. And then when the moment I got it, he got off and went to the bar. So uh, and so he got me into it, and then Kojuda saw that, and he made a band with us. Like he gave me a call and said like, "We'll make a Latin jazz band." I was like, "Okay." So he's like, "You're the pianist." I was like, "Okay." And then there was no other melody player, nothing. I was like, "I have never played this music before." He said, "You'll manage." I was like, but he knew how to like make somebody do something. You know?
Do
He was
something.
great at that.
Got it.
Yeah.
Got it. So Charles Buddy Bolden is an enigma in jazz, and he's often been credited for an improvisation called the Big Four. And my understanding of jazz is that it is all about improvisation. You cannot give a jazz pianist a sheet music and expect a jazz musician to follow it. Not only pianists, I think that be applicable for all the jazz instrument musicians out there.
No, he can. You can give a jazz musician sheet music and he'll play it for you, and then he can improvise on it, and then he can do a million things with it. But you can't give a classical musician a theme and expect them to do a whole bunch of stuff. You have to
Oh
only
yeah,
give
I
them the
mean,
sheet.
absolutely, I agree to that. And what I was trying to ask you is that if there is so much improvisation involved in the kind of music, the likes of you are belting out, how much of the onus also falls on the ears of the listener? I mean, they also have to understand that yes, this is an improvisation that's happening right now to truly appreciate it.
It's a tough question for me because I've never been in that position much.
What the hell? All right.
No, but I'm guessing like the listener, I mean, everybody should have curiosity in life. Like, I think in general, people are like, this is what I like, this is what I've grown up
Hmm.
with, and I'll stick to that till I die. But if people
Yeah.
like have this, dying curiosity as to what something is, it's okay if you don't like it, ultimately, that's fine. But if you haven't, like, people don't push themselves to discover more. So if
Okay.
you push yourself to discover jazz and not like immediately off the bat, like, oh, okay, this is not for me. Not that kind of discovery. Like really like check it out well. And in the end, if you, figure out that, I don't really enjoy this music, that is fine. And why jazz? It could be anything. It could be with any art form or any kind of science or any kind of whatever, books. But people like shut the doors just because it's different and they're not used to it.
Got it.
Yeah.
So speaking of improvisation, in school and college, you'd go around asking everyone for 1 rupee, and then you'd pull in a whole bunch of cash, and then you'd go around watching
Blowing it up.
movies. Blowing. So where does this, this idea come into your brain, and how do you build on this empire of, collecting money?
I was still thinking about this like last year, like if everybody in the world gave me 1 unit of their currency, just 1 unit, that wouldn't be so bad, right? Like,
Why? I mean, I've never thought about it, man. I mean, damn
it's a good idea. I mean, you and
it's a
I can
good
do it
idea.
together.
Oh, don't want to be a part of this conversation on a live stream.
We can just ask everybody to give us 1 unit of their currency. Like,
That's
how
all.
much is it for, yeah, like $1 for an American, a euro, and then Yeah, we got to set this up online, you and me, and then I can buy a
Uh,
full frame camera and a Nord.
so tell us a little more about you practicing minimalism with your life.
I hate stuff because it just requires so much of maintenance, right?
Hmm.
Like the more the stuff is, there's more dust and more cleanliness, and it's just like cumbersome. And I like space, so even now, like I'm removing more stuff from my life. Uh,
Okay,
so all my stuff is basically one cupboard now, which
that's
is great.
fantastic. Yeah, same. I can't
And then
say.
I was thinking yesterday, like I got to make it even lesser.
Yeah, I can't say I'm as organized and as minimalist as you are, but I'm pretty much on the same line. So one cupboard, everything.
Yeah, it's great, right?
Yeah, it's a great
You
feeling.
don't
I don't
need
know,
so
think
many
twice.
things. Yeah, you don't need so many things in life, right? Like I think the only thing like I have a little like I would get going is like technology that I need.
Hmm.
But that stuff you use in different ways that you need, like if you really need it. But that too, if I really need it, like when I was playing music with a few bands, and they were like, we need to get this sound and that sound, and then for that you need this equipment and that equipment, or you need like at this one time I was traveling with a laptop and a sound card and a keyboard, and I was just like, why am I doing this? Like I don't even enjoy it. Just I get to a venue and somebody gives me a keyboard, it has a good piano tone, and that's it. I'm
Hmm.
just going to play. So I think that's also like part of it. Unnecessarily, like, you carry a million things and then you lose something because you know, you couldn't focus enough while carrying it, or you're packing something and then you left something behind. So I don't want to get into that kind of headspace. That's it.
And equipment's not cheap.
And it's not cheap. And it's not cheap. And also the thing is that you think you can express a lot with having more things, but actually it's just a lack of expression in you. That's all.
Yeah, that's an interesting way of putting it out there. So you learn to
You would
play
say you
piano.
would say that, right? You would say that.
I
You
would
would
say
say
that.
that to me if I said like I want to buy 10,000 lenses. You'd be like, okay, just let me see what you can do with a 35 mm or a 50 mm. Like first show me if your photos are really worth it. Then you talk about a lens,
Oh yeah,
right?
that's how it's evolved for me. Also, that the whole idea of gas, gear accumulation syndrome, and then from there you suddenly realize that this gear really doesn't get you anywhere. And then now I'm down to
Exactly.
three lenses tops. I mean, that's it.
See,
I'm down to three lenses. That's it. And
yeah,
if you can't
exactly.
figure it out in those three lenses, and do whatever. So
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
So, as I was asking you, you learned to play piano traditionally, as in there were hammers and strings in an ornate wooden box that needed to be tuned by someone who had trained ears. Only then could you produce music. Now, largely, it's all electronic. Is there still a
No, I
divide
started on a
in,
keyboard. My
or
first
straight
original
on a
on a
keyboard? There
keyboard.
was no piano, like a upright or nothing of that
No,
sort?
then I got an upright later on when I was 10.
Okay.
Uh,
So what I'm trying to ask is, from the time that you got involved in music, there was still traditional music, very much on the scene. There were real
by
pianos with real
by
hammers and
traditional
strings.
music, you mean?
Sorry, traditional musical instruments, traditional
Oh, okay,
pianos.
okay. Right, right.
The wood hammers and everything, the whole 9 yards.
Acoustics. Yeah.
Yeah, and then you had to get it tuned every once in a while and get it repaired and fixed, so on and so forth. But now it's mostly electronic. So is there still a divide in your arena also, like it is in mine, between film and digital photography?
The thing is that digital instruments don't give you that physical resonance that a real piano gives you.
Hmm.
That sound is not the same. Although like they're really getting closer and closer and closer, and like uh, I mean, when you're just playing, when you're just focusing on the music, it doesn't matter at that level, whether it's a digital or acoustic piano. It really doesn't.
Okay.
But obviously, if I had a choice, I would love for it to be like a beautiful grand piano, which is really well tuned and has a nice action and is well
Mm-hmm.
microphone. Like the microphone is put correctly, and the monitoring and everything is good. So that I had that situation when I played in Danilo Perez Jazz Club in Panama. It was just perfect. There was an incredible uh, grand piano Yamaha, and it was mic'd very well. The I had two monitors to listen to what I was playing to and the band, and it was just perfect situation. So I would always choose that over a digital. But the problem with the with performing on a piano is that most people don't know how to put a microphone to it. There's feedback and issues like that, and then you're not loud enough, and then you have to really bang. Like me and some pianists have discovered. I discussed this that after the end of a concert, like we're hitting it so hard that our nails they basically become compressed and go in.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Ingrown nails.
So it's a challenge. No, not ingrown nails. It's just like the part that comes out of your hand, of your finger, that just
Oh,
gets
you
pushed
mean
out,
these
pushed in. It
the
doesn't hurt you
the
anything. The
the
extension, which
skin,
you
the little
cut.
bit the thing. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh, so it gets pushed back in.
Yeah, it gets compressed. Not the whole nail, just that extension. It
Yeah.
becomes flattened. Yes. There's no pain or anything. It's not like that, but it's just that you discover after the gig, like, oh my God, that was a war zone.
So, how many hours do you still invest in learning music?
So right now, because of the pandemic, I have more time on my hands, so I can put in 6 to 8 hours a day average,
Hmm.
other than listening.
6 to 8 hours in music, which is other than listening.
Yeah, I would say actually 6 hours practicing, and then right now it's like 2 to 3 hours listening.
Okay, but what I mean by investing in your music in terms of further educating yourself in your music, how many hours are you doing that?
I'm taking classes from somebody, so that's one class a week.
Okay, that's one class a week. How
He's a
how, how
pianist
many
from
hours
Cuba.
are those
Yeah,
classes?
an hour and a half
Hour and a
every
half,
week.
and by the end of it, I mean, either one of you guys is going to have a headache.
No, actually, like I want to keep going and going and going. I have like a million questions.
That's why somebody's going to end up having a headache.
No, I got then he's like, just go practice the homework.
So, do you end up making a sandwich after the class, or do you make a sandwich before the class?
Both.
So, what's the story of you and sandwiches?
I just like bread and butter and cheese.
That's not a sandwich.
And then no, no, no. That's the base that on which I experiment doing different kinds of things.
What do you mean experiment? How? So you're a vegetarian. So how experimental can you get with
Yeah,
sandwiches?
like different kinds of sauces and different kinds of vegetables or different ways to like, toast the bread. Like sometimes I toast it, then I put it on the pan, then I toast it again. Like I keep trying different things.
So
Toast it with the cheese.
improvisation continues in your kitchen skills also.
Forget the word sandwich. Bread, bread.
So as a live performing artist, there is a constant tug of war between creativity and commercial element of it. How do you balance that for yourself?
Gosh, I wish I could make a lot of money just playing Latin jazz, but it doesn't work that way. So you try and do the gigs that pay the money, and then but keep looking for gigs that give you the artistic satisfaction.
Hmm.
And then hopefully the aim is that one day you will just have a lot more of the artistic satisfaction, which is enough to take care of your financial situation, so you don't have to do the commercial work.
Got it. So, and where do you draw a line in making a decision?
In the amount of money you give me.
Fair enough. That's not a. That's not a. That's. I appreciate that answer. At least you're honest about it.
I mean,
At least you're not.
if you're doing the crap, I mean, how does it matter? Like,
Yeah.
you're
Yeah.
doing it,
Yeah.
you're doing it. But then you better get compensated for it.
So, Paddy, tell us which has been your steepest learning curve so far.
Steepest learning curve.
Yeah.
I don't know. I've never thought of it like that. Like something which is hard for me to learn, like in music or in general.
No, in music, which has been like, in a very short period of time where you've learned, a huge amount which has just been thrown at you and you've embraced it as a challenge and you've overcome it.
It's happening now every week with my teacher, actually.
Okay.
So it's every week is a lot of information coming my way, and I'm trying to like master it as much as I can before the next lesson. So
Mhm.
right now,
And your most expensive mistake?
my most expensive mistake. Wow, well, I have to really think about that.
Okay. Anything that comes to the top of your head right now. It doesn't have to be the most expensive, but just any one that just immediately comes to your mind.
Never had that much money to make such an expensive mistake.
I don't know, you just went and you did something to some gadget and it broke, or, someone said, I told you so, and you still went and did it to a grand piano or some, I don't know.
No, see, in music, I always bought stuff that I really, really need. As it is too expensive. It's too expensive. Like there's a keyboard that I want to buy, and that's a Nord, but that is like 2.8 lakhs.
Okay.
Uh, so that's really expensive, and then you got to buy an amp with it, and good flight case and things like that. But then I kind of like, even if I have it, I'm not going to travel with it because everywhere I go, I'm going to ask for it, which happens. So then I was like, I'm not going to buy it. So I've always
Okay.
been like practical about it. I guess the most expensive thing that I bought is the camera, but it's not a mistake.
It's no mistake. So, as a teacher and a mentor at 12 Keys, what has been.
Most expensive mistake has been buying an in-app purchase in a game I was playing, and then I stopped playing the game. So I was like, how do I get my money back?
What game was this?
This Lost Survival. What? It's a game where there's zombies everywhere, and you build a house and stuff, and then so I needed a machine gun to kick some ass. I couldn't get it, and then I was like, $100 fine.
$100. So, as a teacher and a mentor at 12 Keys, what has been the happiest part of the journey for you?
Seeing people change.
Mm-hmm.
In 12 Keys, the challenge is to go beyond yourself. And not
12
just in
Keys, by the
music.
way, people, is the school that Paddy operates, where he's teaching and mentoring jazz musicians. And
So
these are not your
yeah.
short-term courses. These are your long, overall year and a half, 2 year courses where it's completely immersed in nothing but jazz music.
But the thing is that we go beyond the music. I talk to my students about everything, which
Mm-hmm.
includes politics and religion and family life in general, without getting personal,
Mm-hmm.
or personality problems, and you know even discussing what time you go to sleep and what time you wake up. Are you happy with that? And things like that. So uh, we go into discussions on everything, because the thing is that if your life is not balanced, you're not going to be able to push a career or not be able to learn music uh, in a sane manner. You're not going to be. You need to be sane with everything. You can't be like getting fruitful 8 hours of practice a day if you're really struggling with a breakup. So we discussed that also. Like, and we do it in a very non-judgmental, honest. Uh, hey, Shubharaj. So we do it in a very non-judgmental, honest way. This is what it is. What do you think? This is what my experience is. What if you tried it this way? If you could tackle life, and then what happens is that I have seen, my students go from, being anxious, nervous people to being more confident and just dealing with life a lot better. And that makes you practice music better, and that makes you do music better. You can learn the music, but it's very hard to like work at yourself, at your inner self, your personality and your characteristics, your morality. I think morality is a big issue that we all have to keep addressing. Like, if there's a situation, what would I do? And not only like that will create problems for you, like you won't be able to ever be at peace with yourself, but also on a superficial level, that's always going to come and bite you in the butt.
So
So,
this whole overall approach that you have, at 12 keys, you feel just having this kind of approach makes your students a better, at the end of the day, not only a better person, but also a better musician.
yeah, because they don't have to deal with, uh, not, not that they don't have, they can deal with things happening around them absolutely in a much more holistic manner, or know that like shit is happening in my life, but I have a community where I can talk about this, and they can help me find a solution. Somebody's got my back,
Hmm.
and things like this. And like, one of my students in the past had difficulty with his girlfriend, and that was hard for him. But at that point of time, to like help him maintain the balance, not to tell him what to do, but to help him, keep centered. Like, okay, you're going through this. Don't lose focus on the music. That's an emotional thing. Over here, we got to do what we got to do. Time is always a factor. You want to discuss that. So that helps people just like, get more balanced and centered, and then keep getting back to their music better.
Sounds more
Not,
like, you taking on the role of an older brother.
yeah. I mean, that's why we call it mentorship. That's why me and Ahona came up with this idea of calling it a mentorship, because I try and mentor them more rather than just be a teacher. Like,
Hmm.
here's your exercises and you practice that. And also, we talk about like, I also help my students try and make more money. So
Got it.
I also bother about that, because if, first of all, they want to be professional musicians, so then the onus is on them to at least be able to support themselves, if not people around them, family. But they got to try to be able to support their families also. So that's important. And then also, like, when they earn money and they figure out, like, when they get help in earning money, then they can be more inspired, being like, okay, being a musician is working out. I can make a career. So, and when, like, so one of my students has become really good at playing the bass. So he plays with me,
Hmm.
and that's better for me also, because, when you train someone, they know what you want them to be playing and how to play it. And also, with all of these other things, like, when we travel together, uh, there is more synergy. Like, everybody knows how they are. We get along a lot. And the thing is that you wouldn't survive 12 keys for too long if you wouldn't get along with everybody. So it's like a community, and you have to fit into that community. And it's not that if you're not in this community, you're better or worse or something like that. It's just that we're a group of people. We do things in a certain way, and we've become like that, a community.
Hmm.
You
Hmm.
can have a whole different community that does things differently, and that's fine too. So then, when I work with musicians, with my students who have become that good to be playing with me on stage, it's great because they know exactly what I'm talking about. When we travel, we share the same principles in life, approach to life. Even if it's politics. So I don't get into politics too deep because first of all, I think I don't know enough to be able to make any judgment. So I make my students also understand this. It's like, okay, like once I saw a student put up a post on politics. So I questioned him, like, what do you know about this? And within 5 seconds, you realize that he doesn't know anything.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like, then why are you doing this? And then if you want to do this, then you spend more time studying it. And then are you ready to discuss this with people and defend your position? So if you're not,
Mm-hmm.
then either don't waste your time and put that into other things like watch a movie. So things like that. So
Makes
somebody
sense.
can say that I'm not, somebody can say that, somebody can disagree on what I'm saying right now. And that's fine too. But those who agree with, we have a certain way of looking at life. So we get along together. So it's becoming very community.
Sounds more like, if you're going to do something, do it properly, else don't do it.
Exactly. Like if you make a post on cow urine, for example. Now if you just make a post and you don't know anything about it, except that a superficial idea,
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to question you and I'm going to ask you, really, what do you know? The
Mm-hmm.
point is not the cow urine, but the point is that you're just making a vacuous statement. You might be, insulting someone, you might be hurting someone, you might be standing for someone, whatever it is, but you just got into something which is not, you're not an expert in that field, and you did it in a very offhand manner, very superficially.
Mm-hmm.
And that will come into your music. Actually, that's the main thing. If that is a part of your psyche, that's the way you're going to play the music. And
Makes
your
sense.
music is going to be shallow because that's who you are.
So now, speaking of Ahona, since you brought her name up in the conversation, um, music is clearly, the important factor between the two of you. Both of you are good at what you do, and Ahona is also very interested in the kind of music that you play, and all that stuff is there. Where do you guys disagree? I mean, what kind of areas do you guys disagree on music?
We really don't actually. We pretty much have the same outlook on music. We relate completely. The only thing is that I don't pay as much attention to lyrics as she does, and she would like me to give it more attention.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't have that habit. I don't disagree with her.
Mm-hmm.
So we discuss that sometimes, but it's just that that's the one area where we're a little different. But otherwise, we're pretty much on point with each other. Like we like the same music, we enjoy the same stuff. Um, she loves Brazilian the most. I love Cuban the most, but she loves Cuban and I love Brazilian. So there's
And
we're quite in a very good
and
synergy.
and and where did you how do you and Ahona meet? Like,
That's a funny story. I'll tell you later.
oh, you'll tell me later. Okay. Well, all right then. So one question
Yeah.
that I'd like to ask you, and then this question just popped up in my head right now because you said you both complement each other. Um, how has your music sensibility evolved, or how has it changed with now Ahona being a very integral part of your life?
Ohana challenges um, ideas that she doesn't agree with, and more than just it's not about the music so much, but she would challenge me as a person on if I did something wrong, or if I said something in a rude way, or if I was too offhand with somebody, or if I thought myself to be superior.
Hmm.
If situations like that happens, then Ahana is like uh, she will attack me for it emotionally, and she will show her distaste for something distasteful that I
Hmm.
have done. and she'll be very like
Mhm.
vocal about it, and it makes me a better person to be able to have someone who cares about you, but real care is when you care about everything that matters, and it's not about uh, if I said something, it doesn't matter if you did not like it. It's not on the basis. So in that sense, I know that I will always have to work at being a better person because she's not going to let me slip on any given day.
Mhm.
Like if she heard me say something to a student and she did not agree with it, maybe because I said it in a certain way or something like that, which can happen
Mhm.
once in a while. She'll bring it up later and be like, you said that, but maybe you shouldn't, or maybe you should check your tone, or what were you, So she'll ask me, and then she'll make me think, and I'll go back and be like, was I like that? And then then if it turns out that I was, and then I'll say, okay, you were right, and then I'll try and make a change or do something about it.
Got it.
So for me, art is an expression of your person, and all of these things are a part of that. So if I have some personality weakness or something wrong that I'm doing, that's going to come out in my music, and it's not going to get to the people. So I don't separate the art that I express from the person I am. So, and in that sense, the music is always improving because of this relationship, because Ahana brings so much to this relationship. And you know her, she's a very upright person. Uh, when she believes that something is right, she's not going to care who you are. So
Yeah,
that
I
has to be done.
am very much subject to her dog posts and animal posts. So I know
Yeah.
I know how Ahona functions and how passionate she is about things she believes in. So of course I see where that's coming from. Now, one of the
Yeah.
many things that I always thank you for is that you helped me get hold of these beautiful custom built speakers for my space. And on that note, why don't you tell us about why you have four pairs of speakers in your house, four separate sets of speakers?
That's not me alone. That's me and my dad. Like he likes one pair more than the other, and I like the other one more, so I made him buy it. I don't want to listen to the BMWs. I want to listen to the Jamos. So that's the reason why.
Yeah,
So that's
just
a
a
long time
disclaimer:
ago.
we're not being sponsored by BMW or Jamo or whatever names come up right now. But
We are
yeah,
sponsored by Rupa Frontline.
oh God, this guy has his living room has got four pairs of speakers, a TV, and then the other side is completely books from floor to ceiling, and that's how they enjoy the music. And I am made to understand, and I also personally do know that Uncle is also very specific about the kind of music he listens to, and he's heard a lot of music, and he's very
Yeah.
passionate about his music also.
Yeah.
Where do the two of you disagree the most?
Um, I think the it gradually keeps getting, like I'm very, very headstrong into Latin jazz. And he likes a lot of kinds of music. And like I would say, like once I told him like the ghazals you listen to, they're great poetry, but the music is all crap. So, but the reason for me saying that was not to say the music is crap or anything. It's just that sometimes sons and fathers like banter.
Yeah.
So
So
it was like, okay, I'm gonna poke you a bit. You're my dad, and I love you, and now I can. I've grown up enough. That kind of thing. So I'm gonna poke you. I'm gonna be like, Dad, the ghazals, the poetry is superb, 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 like wonderful. Like sadness and death and misery and all of that stuff is wonderful. But the music, it was just like a fun thing.
I know, and I've been subject to it, where I've asked him a few questions, and then I just unknowingly a couple of times mentioned, oh, but I was speaking to Paddy, and he mentioned that, and suddenly there's like, oh, he doesn't know anything. Who are you asking? So then I was like, oh, okay, I see how this goes.
It's a fun banter, We always
It
love
is. It
to
is.
disagree
It's
for fun. Yeah.
it's quite entertaining also to listen to him voice his opinions about a few things. So
We do it,
um,
I think, purely for entertainment with each other.
good. So now your uh, passion for photography has also come up in, I think, the last 5 or 6 years. Ever since you started traveling for your shows, you'd always be worried about how to document it, and then that has gotten more into picking up your equipment, and now, oh boy, boys, I'm listening. that's that's Paddy's dad. So
Yeah.
um, yeah. Incidentally, also
Pranam.
happens to be one of my best friend of my dad. So we know how this is
Yeah.
going to end up in the cleaners now. So but that's where you start your passion for your photography comes in, and how do you see the culmination of uh, your say this expression in photography and in music? How do they collide at some point of time, or do you try to find it? Do you interpret your work in a musical way, or how do you do it?
I just let it be. Like, I think I really enjoy taking a photograph and seeing it, like, and trying to take a good photograph. There's so much beauty in, like that visual, uh, that that is so appealing, and that's another art. And I appreciate all kinds of art forms. Like there was a little while went to painting classes with a friend.
Hmm.
She was teaching us. I would love to try my hand at sculpture, if that situation arose, or anything, any kind of art form. I really enjoy the experience, but I think photography is more like something you take more naturally to. Like, I wouldn't stick to painting for long, but I'm still sticking to photography as, fun. I just have a lot of fun with it. And
Hmm.
it's kind of like, at one point of time, it was kind of like therapeutic. Like, when, in the sense that, if the music gets very heavy and you need like a light break from it, or not even a light break, but you need to do something else. But doing photography in that moment is like, the advantage with photography is like you already have the camera. It's not, um, a lot of the process has already been done by somebody else, and you can like, and I don't mean to, downplay photography as an
Hmm.
art, but it can be as simple as like you take out a phone and you click a photograph, and it can be something artistic. It can be as simple as that, but it's not, of course, like, as I'm discovering. But because of that ease of access, it's kind of a lighter way to get into a space which kind of refreshes your mind, so to say.
Okay.
Because if I had to do a painting, I'd really like it just come out as crap, you know, and it'd be a lot of hard work, and I don't want to put in that kind of hard work. And photography is hard work for me in a general, in a long term way. Like, okay, now I took a picture, and then I think about it later on, like, okay, maybe that angle or that. But it's still not as taxing for me. So to move off from music and do it in this light, fun way is really nice.
Okay. Yeah, and you enjoy it too. I mean, I see your work on Instagram and your posts on Facebook. So you're having fun at it. That's nice. Now,
Yeah.
back in the day when we were growing up, learning music usually meant picking up a music instrument and have a teacher who would rote learn you or rote teach you into playing a few songs that would, these books that they just open and say, okay, today we're going to learn how to play this song, and you could just learn how to play this song with very little understanding of the fundamentals or the foundation of music. What is your advice for those who have kids or those who are learning how to play music?
Learn the grammar of music. Don't be bothered about, I want to be able to play this piece to show my chacha, chachi, nana, nani when they come home. I mean, that's the kind of shit that is not going to last because you're going to learn. It's like learning French poetry. I can sing a French song for real. Like I performed it. We performed it for the French embassy. So I learned the songs. I don't know what they mean. I just know, oh, Champs-Élysées, oh, Champs-Élysées, but I don't know what it means. And then in time, I'm going to forget the song, and it's not
Hmm.
going to, it's not going to stay in me. So when you learn music, do not expect like those immediate results. That okay, I'm going to mug up a piece, and then my mommy is going to come over, and I'm going to sit and she's going to have some bhujia and listen to me play this piece. That shit is just never going to stick. Uh, Learn the grammar, like learn how the scales work, what are chords. Learn how to create music on your own. That's the way I teach. So I tell my students, when somebody asks me like, do you teach piano? I said, yes, I do, but this is how I teach. So if you are fine with that, and if you are going to accept that it's going to take you a while and the process can be boring at times and just getting skills in place, then we're good to go. Otherwise, find another teacher, because I'm never going to teach you how to play pieces which you will forget later on and spend money on.
So a couple of people asked me, "Does Paddy teach piano?" And I said, "Well, actually, 6 months you have to, I mean, do whatever he tells you, and only after that he decides if he wants to teach you or not. So unless you're
Well, not
prepared for
like that.
that,
I just like off the bat, I talk to them first and be like, then they will know, like, okay, if I want to learn this way
yeah,
or not. So, like recently, I got like two students. They're these wonderful ladies in Delhi. And they have some more time on their hands, so they're learning music. And I explained to them off the bat, like what you're used to is just learning a piece memorized,
hmm,
and I'm not going to do that. And now they're loving it. They're loving that. Okay, here's a chord, and this chord works with this note, and this is cool because later on I can get another note and try another chord with it, and things like that. So they understand that this is going to stick with them for life.
got it.
And the more they understand it, the more addicted they are to, not addicted, the more they're sure of this is the process.
They
And
enjoy it. They enjoy it more.
exactly, because they know that they know now. Music is not this mysterious thing that they, just play and nobody knew why this made everyone happy.
Hmm. Fun. So, do you think music appreciation classes should be mandatory before a child picks up a music instrument, a musical instrument?
I would not say appreciation classes like that because it kind of puts like a different layer into somebody's mind. Just everybody should listen to a lot of music and just dance to it. And that itself is appreciation. That is a real appreciation when you enjoy it with your heart and your body, when
Hmm.
you're listening to it and you're dancing to it. So you're just engaging with it. And, like do it a lot. Like listen to music from all the countries in the world. What is Cuban music? What is Japanese music? What is music from Ghana? What is music from Norway? What is music from, every village of India? What do they do? What is happening in the Northeast? What rhythms do they play? And just explore and just enjoy it. Like open yourselves to enjoying it.
Makes sense. So, Paddy, you've achieved a substantial lot in what you do best, and you have established time and again that you are a musician worthy of knowing on the global stage. And this is evident with your collaborations and performances with so many international artists, whether be it in real life or on virtual, which is what the state of affairs is right now.
Which I've not done somehow.
Which you sorry?
Which I've not done. I've not done the virtual thing yet because my computer is giving problems.
No, but you do collaborate with musicians from all over the world, and you jam out a
Yeah.
little with them, and you're participating, and their willingness to participate with you. And I have seen so many of them. How they interact with you, the camaraderie, the brotherhood. It's amazing. And then that only happens when there is a mutual respect for each other's skill set and art. So
Right.
you've come a long way, and that's what I'm trying to establish here, that you've come a really long way from a city and a country which has nothing to do with Latin or
Right.
Caribbean jazz music, and it's very difficult to find people who do that and do it properly. So, does Pradyumna Singh Manot ever pause for a moment and take a deep breath and celebrate the journey so far?
Um, I'm very, I'm happy about what I've done so far. Um, like in the sense that being in India with uh, not enough resources at times, like in the beginning at least, without the internet and things like that, we managed to, push ourselves and, uh, I would say I'm balanced. I'm not overly uh, proud of what has happened so far, but I also
Mhm.
look ahead, but I don't look like in a negative space, like I'm not that good. Oh man, my life sucks. No, I don't do that kind of thing. Like I'm like, okay, I'm here and I need to get here, then I need to get here, and I got here so far, and I just look at the whole thing very holistically, and I don't bother about whether I'll get to that, then that, or to that. If it happens, it happens. If it doesn't happen, we're all gonna die anyway, so not a bad thing.
What is not a bad thing? The dying part,
Not get
or
not getting to your goals. You just try, and you don't get there, you don't get there. It's cool.
okay. So, what is it that keeps you going? Is it the love of music at large, or is it just that you find that there is this blind dedication and faith in something that keeps you going?
The music itself keeps me. I just love the music so much that I really enjoy playing it. I love playing on stage. I'm not a studio musician. Like I don't do studio work. I don't do tracks and stuff like that.
Hmm.
For me, that is a very dead space. Like so I don't do that. I love playing on stage. I love playing for people. I love it when I'm playing, Cuban music and people are dancing. Uh, that means the music has compelled them to get up and move, which is the music is intended for.
Hmm.
Uh, uh, and I love that experience. I love that I get to travel and see the world and play music and get paid to do all of this. So if this, well, of course, music is what drives me, but then all of these other things which add to the art, the beauty, like when you get to go to a country like Panama and then you get to play there for, uh, you know, people from another culture, and then they enjoy what you did, and then you speak to them afterwards, and then you get to know who they are, and then you go and with a band and with other people or your friends in that city, and then you go out and you eat and this and that, and you have a great time. The whole experience, I just love the entire thing, and I would never change this for anything else. You know. Thank you, Bill.
Yeah, Bia. I was just gonna say thank you so much for putting that comment in view. So Biu is also a musician,
Yeah, and he's doing great.
drummer.
He's studying Cuban musician. He's studying Cuban music intensely now with Miguel Valdez. So, he and I are on a similar path with jazz and Latin music.
Jazz and Latin music. Paddy, this has been good conversation. Thank you so much. I'm
Thank you,
glad
Rahul.
we could get you on board on this and share some insights with you. Before we close, what are the rules that one must follow if they are on tour with you and they have to end up sharing a room with you?
Freaking wash your hands after you pee and anything. Like, uh, don't like go around sharing food, giving everybody your saliva. That shit is just unhygienic. Like don't pass your viruses and your bacteria. Like and like the clothes you wear, like when you sit in a bus and all that, like don't come and sleep in that. Like take a bath, like smell nice, look nice, behave nice, like, and don't be boring. Like That's what it is.
So no putting your feet on his bed. He doesn't like that.
Be clean. Be clean.
Oh my God. Ahona's waiting
I,
for you right outside.
she agrees, but I don't like when people are filthy, you know.
You're a neat freak. And a germaphobe. Are you a germaphobe, Paddy?
No, not so much. I just like cleanliness.
Okay. So do you go and clean down your pianos before you play?
Well, sometimes you got to because they're a little sticky or oily or I don't know what who's played before. Not because there's germs or anything. It's just that you need to get you can't like slip around while playing, or you should not feel like paneer tikka masala like somebody ate and then didn't like that. Like I don't mind how can we avoid germs like bacteria and viruses that is gonna enter your system? You can't do that. You can't we're doing that now. We're sitting at home. But the oil, like, come on, don't leave oil on the keys.
Paneer tikka masala on keyboards. That's very fascinating. Well, thanks, Paddy. On that note, on that spicy
Thank you,
note,
Rahul.
tasty note, let's just wrap it up over here. Thank you so
Thank
much
you,
for being a
everyone.
part of this. And it's
Thank you
been
for having
wonderful.
me.
It's been wonderful. And we'll be
And
in
to
touch.
tell everybody that Rahul is my photography mentor. So,
All right, wrapping up. This is more about him, less about me.
that's the
So
guy.
see you
You want to
guys.
learn photography? That's the guy.
Wrap up another session of Penny for Your Thoughts. Thanks, Paddy, for dropping all
Thanks,
your
man.
words of wisdom. I hope that somewhere some student or some parent listens to this and is able to give better guidance to someone around them, or they even start appreciating good music. So thank you so
That'd be
much.
wonderful.
So long,
Thanks, Rahul.
guys. See you next
Take
week.
care.
Thank you so much.
Bye.
Take care. Bye.